My name is Megan. I am a 44-year-old wife and a mother of 5 children. I am a stay-at-home mom. I'm a former athlete, kind of going through like a athletic renaissance in my old age, and um, under a lot of pressure from my husband for months and months and months. I started a fitness Instagram, and now I suffer and then I show you later. So,
So, when you talk about being a former athlete, what was your sport?
well, I started with swimming when I was 4. Um, And then I threw in soccer, softball, gymnastics, volleyball, basketball. But my star sport was track. I was a hurdler, and my track coach convinced me to quit everything to just do the hurdles. He's like, I can get you a scholarship. So after my freshman year, I played on the volleyball team and then the basketball team, and then outdoor track my senior year, or at the end of my freshman year. And so he convinced me to quit everything and just do track. And so that was my sport. And I was good. He was right. I did get a scholarship, but I almost shattered my tibia, and it all fell apart before I even got to college. So
Was it something that you were truly passionate about as well?
I like to win. So um, if I wasn't winning, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. When he first put me in hurdles, I was not happy about it. I'm like, this is crap. I don't want to do this. We had a lot of back and forth with our words with each other. I was a little mouthy back then, maybe a little bit, but he was right. He was an All-American hurdler, and he saw something in me that I maybe didn't see right away. And he turned me into a superstar. So yeah, I mean, I got passionate about it because I got good at it. You know what I mean? And so it just kind of clicked for me, and it just was natural. I could see the rhythm because there's a lot of rhythm in that event. And once you unlock the rhythm, it's just fun. Yeah, that was me back then. And I guess now I'm just trying to relive my glory days in my basement.
So, during the high school years, was there any type of like weightlifting or any type of strength conditioning associated with the sports you played?
No, we didn't do, I mean, he sent us to the weight room like once ever. I didn't know what I was doing in there. Um, no, I mean, at the beginning of my senior year, I decided to do a little bit of weightlifting after I got home from practice, but it was stupid what I was doing, but it made a huge difference. Like my speed went up big time. I was also a jumper. My jumps increased by I think I PR'd by 6 inches in my first meet after adding in weights. But that was the end of weights for me until about 4.5 years ago. I didn't want to get big and bulky, so I kind of steer cleared of, you know, I want to be ripped, but I don't want to, growl when I walk and, knock grown men out of my way. I just, I was afraid I would turn manly. And so I believed that myth. And so I didn't give weightlifting a chance until about 4.5 years ago.
Gotcha. So,
So
what pushed you back into it?
I guess we can back up after my first baby was born. I was active through the pregnancy, but when I look back at what I was doing, it was ridiculous. I mean, I was sitting on a stationary bike, carrying on a conversation on the phone. I mean, I'm not pushing myself at all. And I had never put on weight before in my life. I never had to lose weight before. And when she was 6 months old, I still had 20 pounds to lose. And I'm like, I thought this is like supposed to just like come off. And so I didn't really know how to work out without a coach telling me what to do. And so I Googled um, most efficient workouts in the least amount of time. So I just like wanted to get it over with. And that's when I was introduced to HIIT and Tabata. And that's what I did. I put myself on a diet. So I counted every little calorie. It's the only time in my life I've ever counted calories. And I did that like 3 times a week, and I lost the 20 pounds that I still had when she was 6 months old in 2 months. And so I continued with HIIT and Tabata through the next 4 pregnancies. I did not gain the amount of weight I did the first time. I made much better decisions. And then as I was approaching 40, I was still doing those same workouts, but I could tell it wasn't working the same anymore. I could tell I was kind of like gaining fat a little bit in some spots. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want. I know there's bone density loss issues as you get older. And, one of my issues that ruined my college career before I even started was stress fractures in my left tibia. It almost shattered. And I was like, well, if it was bad when I was 17, it's only going to be worse in my 40s. So I decided to give weightlifting a chance just to help strengthen my bones as I get old. And I was looking around for a program and I found Alexia Clark. I did one of her Instagram workouts that she posts, and I had my butt handed to me. I'm like, okay, this is the answer. And so I've been with her for just over 4.5 years now. And it's been the best decision I've ever made fitness wise. So I don't feel big and manly. I can lift some pretty heavy weights. I don't mind being ripped. That's sort of what I like the most. And so, yeah, that's what kind of got me into it, is like kind of desperation, because what I was doing before wasn't working.
And when you first got into it, did you still have kind of those fears of like, well, I don't want to be, big and bulky, but I'll give it a shot anyway? Or did you figure out through some like self-education or whatever that wasn't necessarily going to happen anyway?
Yeah, those fears were there. At first I didn't really push the weights too much. I mean, I could tell my body composition was changing. I could tell, the two places I felt it right away were in my core and in my hamstring area. It was like it was empty back there before, and then it like kind of like filled in. And I had strong legs. I was a hurdler and a jumper back in the day, but I was a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie, and I did get bigger at first. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing this. This is the right choice. This is the answer. And whatever the consequences are, I'm gonna just have to live with it. So I did get bigger. I put on some weight. Wasn't happy about it, but I knew she always says to trust the process and just to stay consistent. And I stuck with it. And then I leaned out, and then I bulked up, and then I leaned out. And I'm sort of in this weird leaning out while bulking up at the same time in different body parts right now. So I don't know. It's a weird process, and you just trust it, and the game changes as you go. I mean, I'm not trying to look huge. I like having a six pack, and that's what I have to keep telling myself, because my booty's gotten bigger. My husband's all about it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to have to go up a size. He's like, no, here, eat this. You need to grow the booty. But I'm like, okay, you're not fat because you have a six pack. So that's not fat. You're not, I don't even know what I weigh. I stopped weighing myself. So, but yeah, I have gotten bigger in some areas. I'm just trying to keep it under control. So I'm not pushing my weights like I used to. I'm focusing more on form, and yet like my gains are going up even more. So I don't know what's happening.
What do you think motivates you the most to continue to do what you do with the fitness?
As a stay-at-home mom of 5 kids, I gave up everything. I had a career before I had children. I helped my husband get through the hard years before his career took off. And back then, when he's an artist, and so those first years are hard because we went all in. And it was one of the few things I could control in my life, is whether I got a workout done or not. And so I kind of used it as a form of control. It became a habit. And so I'm not always motivated. I would say I'm only motivated maybe half the time. Alexia's workouts are hard. They hurt, but there's something so badass about them. I know going into it, it's going to hurt certain workouts. And so I don't really want to jump into the pain. But I just shut my mind off, and I just go into machine mode and I do it. And I've never regretted doing a workout. And that's the thing. I don't want to deal with regret for not doing it. So my consistency is like my superpower. I can make babies and I can be consistent. I've done her program for over 4.5 years, and I've only missed 2 workouts in that whole time. And it's a 5 workout a week program. So when we go on trips, I'm still doing it on the trips. I guess I don't get sick very often. And if I do get sick, I work around it. If I have an injury, like my lower back's a little injured right now, I'll just kind of take things down a notch, or I'll modify as I need to, but I keep going. And so it's not motivation. It's more like just habit and discipline. Because if it was motivation, I wouldn't be getting up at 4 a.m. to get it done. So sometimes I just have to say, just do what you can. Just do what you can. And then those are the ones, when I take pressure off myself, those are the ones that I absolutely destroy. I think I play head games with myself sometimes. I did that with pull-ups. I was working on them. I got up to 4 unassisted, and then COVID hit, and then she stopped programming them in because she shifted the program so that everybody was doing at-home workouts. So most of us didn't have access to pull-up bars. I did, but most other people didn't. And so she shifted the program in a way that wouldn't be in it, which kind of screwed me over a little bit because I lost those. Those are what, it's one of those exercises where you have to do all the time. And then I decided to start back up, but I had made some gains from that point. So I was heavier, and so they were harder to do. And I could not get past like 2, and I got so frustrated, and it became such a head game for me. I just stopped. I'm like, okay, you're not going to do any more assisted pull-ups. Who cares? What? I'm not going to the Olympics in pull-ups. I'm just a 44-year-old, fitness crisis, midlife, whatever thing going on here. The fate of the world does not matter if I can do pull-ups or not. And so I just stopped. And so I would just use a light assist. And then just a few weeks ago, I'm like, okay, let's just see. And then I was able to do 3. And I'm like, okay, I put so much pressure on myself over something that doesn't matter in the long run. And then taking that time off, I was able to do more. So I try not to make it into a head game, and just, the whole point, my whole objective, everyone talks about goals, this and that. My whole goal is just like stay consistent and move. I don't have any like, I want to deadlift 300 pounds. No, I maybe, I don't know. It's like whatever happens, happens. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. So let's just go and move, do what you can. And then it just comes easier without the pressure.
Yeah.
Even though I'm showing up like literally almost 100% of the time, which is really hard to do, by the way.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
I think, for me, really, you're talking about consistency and things. For me, that's one of the biggest things I learned over the last year. And especially doing this podcast, I just heard it over and over again, how important it is.
Nothing's going to happen if you actually don't take the action.
Everybody says, I don't have time. I don't, my schedule's so busy, blah, blah, blah. And it's one of the biggest hurdles, excuses, whatever you want to call it, that there is out there. How have you kind of figured that out? And at the beginning, I think it's the most impressive. How did you figure that kind of out at the beginning?
I just get up before my kids wake up, so there's no distractions. The day can very easily get in the way. So 4 a.m., that alarm goes off. Ugh, sucks. It's so much better when I wake up at like 3:58, or 3:45 even though I had like 15 extra minutes. If I can get up before that alarm goes off, then I'm in a lot better shape. If that alarm just, it's so rude, that noise. But I get up before everyone's up, so it gets done, I don't want them in the way. I know a lot of moms love to work out with their kids, but that's my time. I gave up everything for them. I need this time. And it sucks that it's before everyone's awake when it's dark and you just want to be sleeping during that time, but that's my time. So it's not penciled in, it's an ink, that's non-erasable. So 4 a.m. I'm getting up. I try to be in there by 5, and that's when I start. So nobody's getting in my face. Nobody needs something, Yeah. I love my kids, but I need my workout time to be all mine. I remember I was working on pull-ups, and there was this time my youngest, Holland, she comes in, she's like, I was doing, I think, some negative pull-ups or something. And I was like, I think I did like a 30-second negative pull-up, just like 130. It was pretty badass. And my daughter comes down the stairs. She's like, Mom, you're going to die. Like, that's not the right kind of motivation. And that's why I don't like my kids in there when I'm working out. But it was one of those rare times when I was working on pull-ups beyond the workout. Like it was like a 2-a-day type of thing. I don't do that anymore because my kids are not the most, they're not very good cheerleaders. Mom, you're going to die. So.
Did you ever struggle with like, okay, I'm working out, I'm eating right, but I'm not necessarily enjoying a lot of what's going on with this?
No, because I Alexia's, I mean, she programs some really traumatic things in it, but most of it's pretty fun. I mean, they're hard, but I don't know, those combo moves. I know some people are like, you just need to lift weights and forget about cardio. But for me as an athlete, as a hurdler, I mean, that was a very technical event. And so to be able to do movements that require balance and stability and some skill beyond just picking up a weight and putting it down, it's fun. I enjoy that. Some people might think it's a waste, but I don't know. My balance is pretty spot on. Um, I I don't know. I just I enjoy it. And I don't have a strict diet. Now, if I had a strict diet, the food would be what would probably destroy me more than anything as far as just losing my will to do it. I don't count my calories or my macros or anything like that. I don't even know how much I'm eating. I am not, I try to live that 80-20 rule, but like some days it's more like 50-50. Depends on my stress level, depends on how bad the kids are being. It depends if my husband's out of town or not. But I'm living my life, my life. I don't drink alcohol at all. I never have. So where some people are losing calories there, I'm not losing anything. I only drink water. So I have some room to play and throw in some cookies or chocolate or whatever. Now, if I was too restrictive, I think that would take the joy out of it all, I mean, I'm very restrictive on you must get your workout done. But I'm not restrictive on my food. And I know everyone would disagree. Abs are made in the kitchen, but sometimes abs are genetic too, I do work my butt off, and I did not have a six pack when I first started Alexia's program. So I did have to earn it. I just don't have to be as strict about my food to have it and to maintain it. Yeah. But yeah, I need moderation. If it was strict, I think I would lose my will to want to even do it.
Maybe amongst friends or amongst friends of friends, like, does it ever feel like you're a little not talked about, but almost people think you're a little bit different because you are living an active lifestyle? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I had to block a lot of my friends from my fitness account. I am very religious and I show a lot of skin on there, and I don't really care what they think. You know what I mean? I was an athlete. It's embedded into my genetics, I wouldn't have a problem with someone who's really good at music continuing to play music, practice their violin or whatever. I want to age gracefully. That's sort of why I'm still active. I want to be a badass in my 80s. I don't want to be weak and frail, and I don't really care if someone has a problem with it. I'll just block you from my account and I'll just continue doing what I'm doing. I don't need the judgment. But no, this is for me. It's for my health too. It's an investment in my future health. I know that staying active and healthy isn't going to prevent every disease, but it's going to prevent a lot of them. You know what I mean? And I mean, I want to feel good in my own skin. I'm getting old, I'm getting wrinkles, but so far my body is tight, and I want to keep that as long as possible. My mom we're on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to athletics. And she was like, it was a few months ago, we were having a conversation. She's like, oh, you have your muscles. And I'm like, oh, solid burn, mom. Like that's not even you're not even putting me down. I know you're trying to like bust on me, but it's like completely failing, because yeah. I don't feel bad for having muscle. I mean, I would feel bad if I was you who was having hard times just standing up and sitting down. I don't want basic tasks to be a workout. I don't want to work up a sweat by standing up, Right. I want to work up a sweat because Alexia kicked my ass. You know what I mean?
Education too is a big part of it, just trying to get the youth involved as well with being active and things like that. Do you feel like your active lifestyle now is, making an effect on them?
Yeah, I think my kids watch what I'm doing. My little 5-year-old, the one who told me I was dying, I was going to die. She'll drop down and start doing push-ups. And I mean, her form, some of them are pretty on point. I mean, some of them are terrible, but like she's getting it. And my boys will want to go play on the workout stuff. They love playing on the TRX. They're like swinging. I'm like, I swear, if you guys break that thing, I'm going to kill you. Just kidding. With love. I would kill them with love. I would never kill my child. Um, but they love playing on the workout equipment. I'm hoping that as my boys get a little bigger, they'll actually want to do weightlifting. My husband's more into cycling, and so I think they'll probably take his path because, dad's, famous and cool. So mom's just the one who's ripped, who wants to be like that? My daughter, my youngest one, I think she's my protege. She's already got the abs. She's already got like a bubble butt. She's built just like me. So I think she's the one. The other four can suck it. I'm just kidding. I love my kids, but yeah, they like doing stuff down there. They like to play on the Bosu and like the stuff I don't use very often. They love the yoga ball. I'm afraid they're gonna like throw their head through the wall as they go flying off of that thing. But yeah.
No,
So yeah, they're paying attention. So they're like, Mom, you have a 6-pack? I'm like, oh. So I'm pretty badass too, not just dad.
yeah, I think it's cool to have those influences like that.
Our kids are big into video games. They could play video games all day if we let them. Some days I make them do an hour of, working out before they can touch them. And so during the pandemic, back when everything was e-learning and they had to do PE at home and all that stuff, there's this guy, I think he was in England or somewhere, Joe. So they would do PE with Joe. And so they were doing it the other day. I'm like, you want to touch video games? You got to put in an hour with PE with Joe. So Joe does HIIT workouts. So my kids are dying. And I'm laughing. And they're like, Mom, we're almost done. I'm like, dude, you've been there for 30 minutes. I said an hour. So, but yeah, they're active. I think, it's so cold. It's hard to go outside right now. So they're inside more, but they're on the video games more than I would want them sometimes, but sometimes it's just like, okay, just play the video game. Because, if they were playing board games, they would all be together. We have enough controllers that everyone can play together. So they're still bonding, and crying and getting in fights, and then I have to shut them down. And
Part of the fun of being a kid.
yeah. So we have puppies, and so they'll run around with them. And so I like the idea of just being active because that's life. I don't want it to be a situation where, when sports end, what do I do now? Kind of like where I was at. I had an elliptical and I was going on it or a stationary bike, but it just really wasn't doing anything for me. And I didn't realize it. So I would like them to, as they get older and, they want to, I love it if they got into weightlifting.
It's cool to just talk to somebody who does it for the simple love of wanting to be healthy and be fit and that kind of being the end goal. And I think so many people can identify with that. There's definitely a lot more people who are in your situation who want to get healthy and fit, but they don't necessarily know how to do it, or they don't see anybody around them that does it. But
Yeah.
it's cool to talk to you and actually get to kind of see what you're doing and how you do it, and hopefully help somebody out there.
Yeah. I mean, I get messages from like my husband. He was like, I really think you need to start a fitness account. I'm like, nobody's going to care. I'm a nobody. I'm just some mom working out in her base. I look like hell during my workouts. Like there's no makeup on. Like my hair is so bad. I like just pull it back, and I'm like, I almost don't want you to watch because it's so bad. I look terrible. But he's like, I really think you could inspire people. I'm like, who's going to be inspired by me? And I'm nobody. But he was right. I mean, I get messages from women all over the world like, oh my gosh, you've had 5 kids. I can do this. I don't have excuses. And I mean, I don't want them to feel bad. That's not, what I would ever want for someone to get from me. I want them to just want to move their bodies. I mean, they're incredible. The things these bodies can do, they were made to move, and it's just a cool feeling to be able to do hard things. I don't love kick through burpees, but it's a badass burpee to do, if you can do it right. And it's a celebration of our bodies, you know. I get that question a lot. I get a few questions, oh, what's your diet? I'm like, you don't want my answer there. And then they're like, how tall are you? You look like you're 6 feet. I'm 5'6", by the way. I'm not like this huge giant. I mean, I'm not short, but I'm not towering over the common man. But the question I get a lot is, are you going to compete? Like go on stage? I'm like, I don't think I ever will. You know, I don't want to diet. I don't want to cut my calories down so low. You know, I like to just do it to just do it. I don't want to strut my stuff on a stage. It's more the calories. I don't want to have to cut them down so low because I'd have to stop doing the program I'm doing. There's no way I can do it on such a small amount of calories, you know. It's just a lifestyle thing for me. I don't have any aspirations to compete in anything. It's just doing it for my health, mental health, emotional health, and physical health.
Yeah, and I think if you know that, and if that's, different, I think it's different for everybody. Everybody needs a little bit different motivation, and as long as you know what yours is, as long as you know what your reasoning behind doing it is, then I think that's a great place to be, because most people honestly probably never found that reasoning. But it's been great talking to you.
No, I appreciate you having me. And I mean, most of the time it does suck. It sucks more than it's awesome. But once it's over, it's really awesome. Like, leg day sucks with Alexia. Like she comes up with the most painful order of exercises she could ever do. And it sucks. But then when it's done, it's like, I did that, I'm a badass. So yeah, it sucks, but it's also awesome. It's empowering. It's empowering during the sucking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, I'm on Instagram. My handle is Mega Mom Fit, just MEGAMOMFIT. I'm there and I'm suffering and I'm showing you after the fact. And so I appreciate all the support I get. Everyone is so awesome on Instagram. I'm kind of blown away by the respect that people give me, and I really appreciate it. So, and thank you for letting me on here.